I kind of felt a little bit like someone was implying like that I should just go home and disappear. Business isn't for girls. If I had $1 for every time someone walked through the door to meet with Alex and then they're like, "Oh, you're a girl."
Oh, you're not a dude.
Yeah, I give zero shits anymore about
Yeah.
that. Like, if you don't think what I did is cool, fine. That's fine.
I really feel like we've become an industry leader in the wrap industry in our area. So we bought a printer and started trying to figure out how to make graphics kits for dirt bikes. That's where I coined the name the Sticker Lady.
I know you think that I'm just maybe some cute little kid that came to work in this shop, but I am a hardworking farm kid. And then all of a sudden I'm being featured in these magazines, not once, not twice, but numerous times. One time on the cover. I felt like, gosh, like, why don't I feel happier? Like, stop. It's like, you are enough. You are enough as you are. For years and years and years, I let that validation kind of just override everything. You're gonna have to fight a little harder, you're gonna have to push a little harder, but whatever your dreams are, you can make them happen.
When I look at Alex from the outside, I've seen momentum, someone that's built something from nothing, especially carved out of a space in which it was male-dominated industry. You've earned credibility the hard way, then made the kinds of decisions that most people only talk about, and then you walked away. But what fascinates me about your story is not the accolades or really the pivot itself. It's the quiet shift of who you were underneath it all. The moment when achievement stopped being enough, the realization that success can still leave you empty if it's not aligned with who you actually are, which I think is the main theme of what we're going to talk about today. So with that, I want to start in the middle of that shift, not really at the beginning of your career, but the beginning of your honesty with yourself. So if someone were to ask you what you do right now, what feels most true about that answer?
I think that the truest thing is that I'm like living my best life. Like we talk about alignment. I'm living this life that is aligned with values. And instead of chasing happiness and looking for that dopamine hit, it's more of that fulfillment. I'm choosing what I want to do with my time. And I think that's a pretty cool place to be. I have this understanding that I don't need all the money in the world, that's not going to make me happy. I don't need a new car. I don't need a new house. What I need is to spend time doing those things that fill my bucket, which is helping others, being around my family, inspiration, all that.
Yeah. And what has shifted internally, since selling your equity or ownership in the business, that maybe people wouldn't immediately see that's gotten you to that level of alignment that you just spoke about?
I think internally, I'm no longer like seeking that validation that, maybe that started as I have to prove something to everyone. Now I'm like, I don't know if I can swear on here, but like, I don't really.
Do whatever.
Okay,
yeah,
I don't
swear more than you will.
I give zero shits anymore about that. Like, if you don't think what I did is cool, fine, that's fine. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be on my deathbed regretting, oh, they didn't think that was cool. Like, that's not important to me. So I think the biggest thing that I have shifted is now it's, I think someone told me like basically if people want to talk shit about you, let that be their problem, or it's none of your business. That's what it is. If people are up in your business, it's none of your business, right?
Yeah.
And so having real estate in someone else's head is fine. I just don't want to have any of theirs in mine. And I think most of my head was filled with other people's real estate for way too many years.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's so many phrases around like your closest friends or people in your network will probably be the biggest haters, and the people that don't know you or strangers on the internet will probably be your biggest supporters.
Yep.
And I'm not quite at a spot to internalize that as knowing that, but it's an interesting world and space to live in, right?
I'm really, really fortunate. I have really great friends. Like, I have a really great friends group that is always like super supportive. And unfortunately, I think sometimes the people that support you the most, you take for granted unintentionally. And you let the voices of those that really ultimately at the end of the day don't matter hold so much space when they're talking about, if you're not, how did you get that job? The only reason you got that job is because so-and-so got you that job. It couldn't possibly be because you're good at it, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my friends have always been my hype crew, and always like, man, we're so proud of you. You're doing great.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool thing to have, and I'm really fortunate.
Why do you think it's like that for most, or maybe for yourself, of those people that shouldn't carry the weight do, and the ones that should carry the weight don't?
I believe, at least for myself personally, that it's rooted in childhood. Like it starts in your childhood, or for me, it did. Coming from a small town where you're in or you're out, and I was out, and I felt like, someday I'm going to prove all these people wrong, that I'm not this loser that they say I am.
Yeah.
And, or for me, having a dad who felt like it was impossible to make him proud of me. And I was like, someday I'm going to make something of myself, and I'm going to do all these big things, and he's going to be so proud of me. And then you wake up one day and you're in your 30s and you're like, just kidding. I don't think if I was the president of the United States that I could make this person, proud of me, or have those people think differently of me. And I think that's a really freeing moment when you start living for yourself. One random story to go with this is for years and years and years, I let that validation kind of just override everything. And we were at a wedding that was for family. So it was a lot of people from back home, a lot of my family. And I grew up in this very judgmental, like everyone's in your business. Everyone's judging what you're doing. And so I was worrying about everything. I'm like, asked my husband like 5 times, are you sure this looks okay? Are you sure it shouldn't change? And finally he was like, stop. It's like, you are enough. You are enough as you are.
Wow.
Like, stop worrying about that. And I don't know why that day, but it really sunk in, and I embraced that. I have a bracelet, which ironically I just didn't put on today, but it is engraved with "you are enough" as that constant reminder of when I start to think like, oh, I shouldn't say anything, or I don't deserve to be a part of that. Like, it doesn't matter. Just you're enough as you are for the people that matter.
And was that wedding day, was that the time and place that you really emotionally allowed those thoughts to be true, or did it happen later? When did you really believe versus feel that in yourself and body?
I think that was probably a good start. Like, I think some of those things you always kind of known, but you push them aside.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason that day, my brain, emotions, whatnot, we were ready to accept that and start building on it. And I think that was like the beginning of the end for me with my sign business. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, speaking of, alignment and, this current season of Alex, how do you know that you're much more aligned to what you wanted to be for yourself than in previous seasons or years or phases?
I think like the word of the day here is peace. Like when you let go of all that stress and you wake up and you see your kids and you're excited and you're happy and you have this patience, they're being total buttholes and you cannot yell and you're just like, just be calm, we'll work through it.
Right.
And at the end of the day, when they're done with school, it's again, I'm not just giving them what's left over. I feel like they're getting the best me, where prior to selling my business and prior to finding that alignment, they were getting the worst me. But also like I was so stressed out that my bones hurt. Like, I don't know how to explain that, but like you're so tense all the time that just your joints, your bone, everything hurt. And so now like I go on these trips for board meetings and I'm there and I'm like, you guys, this is so cool. I can just be here. I can just take all this in. I'm not stressed the F out. I'm not answering pissed off employees on, 1 minute and dealing with pissed off partners the next minute or clients or whatnot. Like, which sounds like I should have maybe done better if everyone's pissed off at me. But anyway, like you don't have all these constant worries. And I think you can probably relate as a visionary and business owner. We're problem solvers. So if there is a problem, we can't just disconnect.
Jump into it right away.
Correct.
Now.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm in the middle of Colorado and there's nothing I can do, but I can't disconnect mentally from it.
Right, because then you're stuck.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to be Alex now in those moments of where your 2 feet are and being present?
Really, really great. Like, 0 regrets, Alex, right now. Just doing what I want to do, how I want to do it. And I know that kind of sounds selfish, but not in a selfish way, almost for doing it for me, but for those around me that matter. I had agreed to coach for this mastermind and I've only been with him here now 4 months. And even that, I have this it's not aligning with my values. And so as of this week, I'm done.
Yeah.
And old me never would have done that. I'd have just stuck it out and I'd have
done it for
powered through. Yeah. And I was just like, I can't do this. I didn't go through everything I've gone through now to start over in this trend.
Right.
And so it's done.
And how do those moments feel now where, maybe the wedding was the catalyst, exiting the business was solidification, And now this is maybe cherries on top of like, you're really realizing that this is who I am now. And this is me.
Yeah, I mean, one of the coolest things, I used to crave vacation in the midst of all the chaos. I'm like, oh my God, just take me to California. I just need to hear the ocean, or take me to the mountains. I just need to like feel a serene like nature around me. I haven't once thought about going on vacation since this. Like, I've not thought about like, man, get me out of here.
Yeah.
You know, I have a home office and it's awesome. It's built exactly how I want. My espresso machine, and like, I don't need anything else. Like, I can go for a run, go out to my gym, work out whenever I want to. My house is basically mostly taken care of, right?
Yeah.
And so there's this piece of, you don't have this to-do list that's 300 things long. It's just working on the things I want to work on, and that energy you get when you're just working on shit you love, it's irreplaceable.
Sounds like you're no longer seeking an escape from your reality.
Correct. Yeah, which is cool. Like, who would ever thought that's a thing? But it's really a thing.
I mean, whether we love or hate Gary Vaynerchuk, you know, I mean, his comments, whether you believe him or not, or, you know, I don't know if I do all the time, but, you know, he's like, you shouldn't want a vacation from your current life, because your current life should be so awesome that it's your reality that you've made yourself.
I think Gary's got a lot of wisdom, and I agree 100%. Right. But it just feels silly that it took getting there to see it now firsthand, but you're like, yeah, it's 100% correct. But I think, the way we were raised and how advertising and the psychology of marketing and how that all played into our childhood, and we grow up like just chasing that objective success, like buying all the things. God, we all have like houses filled with shit we don't need. And it takes brain space. Like, we've just overwhelmed ourselves, and we're chasing goals that don't need to be chased because little us thought that's what success looked like.
For sure. Unless you enjoy those things, or there's a couple of things you might enjoy, but not all the things, you know, the multiple houses, the multiple cars. It's like maybe one nice car, you know, but 5 cars or 6 cars, or I think that there's lines in those excess that law of diminishing returns comes in pretty quick.
I don't know if you've read Mind Magic by Dr. Doty. He talks about how he really just figured out how to like meditate and really just how when you fixate your brain on what you want, like, you can just get there. Well, he teaches you how to do that, but then he's like, but I want you to learn from me. I did it in the wrong way. I chased all these Porsches. I chased it, which no offense. I know you like Porsches. That's how I'm going with it. But and this he wanted to buy his own island and all these things. He was very, very poor as a child, and abusive dad and alcoholic and all these different things. And then ended up being a brain surgeon, I believe, and buying his own island, building this house, all these things. But he's like, I got there and no one was left with me. My wife left me. My daughter didn't want anything to do with me. So then he had to go back and rebuild his life. But I think that's all too familiar, right? Like, we fixate on, we're going to prove people wrong. We're going to do all the things. We're going to have everything. And in the pursuit of everything, you actually lost everything.
It's the wrong type of being selfish, right? You know, there's a line to it, right? So, you know, obviously we've already talked about, you know, how you haven't made this move or adjustment without something, you know, deeper, right, nagging at you for a long time. I want to go back to the pieces of what was driving you before the pivot. So when you were rising up in the wrap and signage industry, we talked about, you know, who you wanted to prove it to, but like, what were you ultimately trying to prove within that industry, just like as a whole?
I think a multitude of things. I started off as a graphic designer, and so graphic designers, my like week of graduation, I was at Barnes & Noble, and I opened up this graphic design book. I'm trying to get inspiration, and there's a note, and it says, whatever you do, never go to school to be a graphic designer. You're going to make shit for money, and your life is going to be terrible.
Wait, so post-graduation of high school, college?
Oh, of college. I literally was like just graduating from graphic design school, and I go to Barnes & Noble, open this book, and it's like, basically, congratulations, you're fucked. You picked the wrong career.
Did somebody like write this in there?
Yes,
or,
it was a note. Like, it was a folded piece of note paper inside of this
so somebody
book.
took that, wrote a note, and put it into that
Correct.
book.
Correct. And so then from that point on, I was like, oh my God, what did I do, right? And sure as shit, my first job out of college was designing ads for a phone book.
Yeah.
And you talk about like life-sucking, soul-draining work.
Yeah.
Design a
epitome.
2-inch by 2-inch square, like
Yeah.
8 of those a day with no errors. And that was awful. I lasted like 3 months. I think I cried at like, I don't even know how many times in the parking lot and my breaks.
You're like, fuck
It was,
this, give me
it was so bad. It was so bad. So anyway, long story short, I ended up getting the sign industry, and it's fun because they're doing different projects every day.
Constantly.
Like, yeah, it's constantly new. It's changing. It's perfect for someone with ADHD. It's
Oh,
all
yeah,
over the
oh,
place.
yeah.
And I could make decent money, like decent-ish money doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I like figured out one thing, and then I got to the next thing, and so
Mm-hmm.
I started just what they call weeding vinyl, and
Okay.
then in designing, and then eventually got into the wrapping. And I guess I was kind of like, and no matter what I did, I always wanted to try to be the best. I was a hard
Totally.
worker, and I was just out to prove to everybody from day one that
Yeah.
I'm not just going to do something. I'm going to be the best at something.
Right.
But maybe not the best. I always say I'm like slightly above below average, but like I wanted to be a
Like push the limits as
push the
much
limits,
as you
yeah.
could. Yeah.
And I've always been very innovative. So I always I question everything. Like, is there a better way to do this?
Yeah.
Like, how could we do this better?
Oh,
How can we
yeah.
do this faster? You know, you're always innovating.
Yeah.
And so I think that was like the start of, so
Mm-hmm.
the me that was looking for validation, but also the me that was very innovative,
Yeah.
kind of pushed the limits.
Like, where could this go?
Yeah.
Where will this go?
And I heard all the, like, if I had $1 for every time someone walked through the door to meet with Alex, and then they're like, "Oh, you're a girl."
Oh, you're not a dude.
Yeah. Like, it happened so often.
Yeah.
I had a couple of old gentlemen that were like, "You're supposed to be sitting at the front desk, and you shouldn't have a hat on." And I remember,
They said that to you?
yeah. In hindsight now, you're like, I would tell my kids to tell him to F right
Yeah,
off, right?
literally.
But I would just kindly say, "Well, I'm going to take you to someone else that can help you, and we
Yeah.
can do a different one of the
so
salesmen."
I can keep the business and not
Yeah.
get
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
So then, I mean, going off of that perspective of, you know, being a female in a male-dominated industry, and those slights, or whatever you want to call those comments, I mean, how did that change the way that you maybe got out of your car and walked into the office every day, and the way that you showed up?
I think that I always had to be on my game. I felt like I had to, the gentlemen that worked in the back shop, they were like kind of a little rough around the edges, right?
Yeah.
And I needed their help to make projects happen. And I was raised on a ranch. And so I always tried to go back to my ranch roots of,
Yeah.
listen, I know you think that I'm just maybe some cute little kid that came
Yeah.
to work in the shop, but I am a hardworking farm kid. I think that everyone underestimates the farmer's engineering degree that comes with just growing up on a farm.
Yeah, absolutely.
The problem solving skills you get because you're in the middle of nowhere, and
You have to do something about
yeah,
it.
there's no Walmart, there's no Menards, there's no nothing. Like, you're
Yeah.
just figure it out. And so I would try to play on those things of, I felt like I had to prove that I'm a really hard worker, that I am resourceful, that I can, help. And I would offer to help a lot, help others, and take on as much as I could to try to prove that I'm not just here to F off. I'm not,
Yeah.
I know things, I learn fast. I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. And I think,
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest thing, is I'm just proving that I wasn't afraid to get my hands dirty, and there was no job site I wouldn't go on, all those things.
Did you feel like you had to, earn trust or show up and overperform in a way to, I guess, validate your existence within that industry and business as a whole in a day-to-day as you move throughout the different job roles that you held there?
Yeah, 1000%. And like some very distinct like memories that come up is the business that I worked for had multiple locations, and they had like their C-suite, and they would just do things so inefficiently at that time in the graphics world. And so they would call me into these other locations to fix their problems because I had figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
And then I would try to have a conversation afterwards, very kindly, of, hey, if you just implemented these couple things, you wouldn't have these issues. And they would just literally say, "That's nice, I don't need to hear anymore." And they would never actually listen to how to make their business better.
Yeah.
And so I think that planted the seed for me of starting to think, if I had my own business, like, this is how you would be more efficient, and this is what you could do to do things better.
Yeah.
And
How long do I want to have to deal with this
Yeah.
at the same time?
but unfortunately, in the sign world, as a lady, it happens all the time where they're like, just, that's fine, keep your words to yourself. But then
Yeah.
you'll hear a guy say it down the road, the same exact thing, and they're like, "That's brilliant, let's
Sure.
implement it." And you're like,
Got
what
it.
the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening here? Did they just not listen to me, or did they, like, what?
Right.
And unfortunately, it still kind of happens. But I always just told myself, just whatever, just put it behind you and keep going. Just keep doing you. And
Yeah. Do you think that there's an equal percentage of maybe just poor ownership and visionary versus you showing up as a female, or what do you think that is now, looking back at that time and with the knowledge you have?
I think probably both. I think I'm seeing less as our generations, like most of us millennial, right? Like I have what I like to think is a ton of respect now within the sign industry as a whole across the country, and more so with the men, it's more millennial, but some when you get outside of North Dakota, in some areas it's better, some areas not. But also I think the boomer generation, like that's how they were raised. And so whether they say they try to not be that way, I think it's a default. Like they're used to, like their mom did everything at home. And if they were in the office, they were a secretary or they were an assistant.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of ladies get kind of frustrated because it's like, go take care of this for me. Go take care of this for me. And you're like,
quite like that.
Yeah, no, that's not my role. I'm happy to help you, but I'm not your assistant.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember my mom told me when she went to college, my mom's born in 56, 57. She was like she was like 3 or 4 things that I could go to school for was, I think it was like teacher, a nurse, office administration, and then like maybe like a bank teller or something.
Yeah.
And that wasn't like that long ago. That was like really
Isn't
all
that,
she
like,
was
mind-blowing?
told that she could become or would become, you know?
Yeah. My mom was a huge she went to school to be an architectural draftswoman, and she had to do an internship as part of the college. I think she was going to NDSU, but I can't remember. It was either NDSU or Moorhead. And she went to try to get an internship, and the guys laughed at her and were like, a woman is never going to get a job doing this. Like and she was it really pissed her off. And so she ended up going to she ended up going to school for like egg finance, I think is what her degree ended up being.
Sure.
But she told me, like, I named you Alexandra so that on your resume you could use Alex, and no one would be able to just discriminate your resume by seeing Alex. And so that I was kind of, and she was always like you're gonna have to fight a little harder, you're gonna have to push a little harder, but whatever your dreams are, you can make them happen.
Yeah.
And it was, so I would say like that little voice in my head also helped me push through all those situations of not like, it's fine, just set it aside.
Wow. When did she tell you that?
Oh gosh. My mom got sick when I was 12, and after that it was brain cancer, so things got harder for her to say.
Right.
But I would say probably starting at like age 8 on up, she would constantly let me know that. She would also always say like, hey, you need to build your own career. You don't need to find a man who's going to build a career and pay for you. You need to build your own career, and then you can choose what that looks like from there. But I want you to pave your own road, to find your own success, to build your life and not someone else's life.
Mm-hmm. And when do you think that really sat in and resonated with you? If you can remember a time that was catalyzed, if that's a word or not.
So in like 4th grade, the girls in my my class, small little in Rockford, right? Yep. They created a traveling basketball team, and I was not invited or good enough to be a part of this team.
Sure.
So with no adult supervision, I took the fucking sign-up sheet and I walked up and down the streets of New Rockford until I filled it with a team of like, I think of like the Little Giants or Go Big Green, like those movies where like it's just like we're the leftover kids. But I got their parents to sign this form that they could play and collect the money to turn it in, and my uncle was the athletic director and men's coach at Bismarck State College. So we had these like 1960s Mystics jerseys that were like awful, but they was great, and made a basketball team. So I think my mom putting those things in my head at a little age. I mean, like in 4th grade, I have a 2nd grader, and I couldn't even imagine her understanding how to do that. But in 4th grade, to go get everyone's signatures, sign us up, do all of these things to get us into this tournament, and I think back to some of those things, and I think that was the start of me just, where there's a will, there's a way, I'm going to figure it out.
And how did it feel, or how does it feel now to look back and to know how much your mom had empowered you and to set you up for that level of controlling your own destiny, so to speak?
I wish she was here today, because I think I think she would think it's really cool. And, you like to think that they're with you at this point,
Yeah.
right? But I think that's the hardest thing in my mom not being here is not only did she empower myself, but my brothers as well. And I have a book coming out soon for one of the brothers. But from the day he was born, he loved firefighting, just addicted to it. And now he's a fire captain.
Wow.
And I have no doubt he'll become chief and is the most dedicated leader that you've ever met. And none of us were like good in school. We all sucked in school, but we all were so determined to follow that dream that she was like so supportive of. And she passed away, and like that Sunday, I think her funeral was like, I think it was on Saturday, and then that Sunday he got a call from the Minot Fire Department that he got this job, right? And so she didn't get to see any of that like come to fruition. But the first thing out of everyone's mouth when they like hear things that my brothers and I are up to, they're like, "Man, your mom would be like so proud."
Absolutely.
So yeah, we're super fortunate to have her for sure.
Yeah.
Just wish she could have got to actually see it all.
Yeah.
And to be grandma, I think she'd really love that. But
yeah, absolutely. So going back to a little bit about through your conversations with Kayla in a pre-interview, you'd said you didn't want it to be good for a girl, and I'm guessing your mom played a big role in that belief, in that phrase. You wanted it to be the best. On the other side, now, what did that ambition cost you personally through that drive, through the statement of good for a girl and wanting to be the best possible?
I think it probably contributed to that nasty validation word, right? I think it contributed to, working so hard for the wrong reasons. Well, I wanted to prove myself as being the best for just being one of the best in general, and not for being a girl. Again, then you're not really doing it for yourself. I mean, there's a little bit for yourself, but you're trying to prove for other people. And so I think that just added more pressure on top of the already compounding pressure of, which I think societally we all have compounding pressure from the wrong things, of chasing that objective success and not even paying any attention to the subjective side.
Yeah. Was there anything else, I guess like personally as a young adult that you maybe look back on that you maybe wish you would have had back, and maybe it's time or energy, but just something that you maybe weren't splitting your balance or harmony of where your time was spent, or where your 2 feet were in those early years of that drive?
I mean, it's easy to just start picking off things maybe that you would have gotten rid of, but at the same time, maybe I wouldn't have gotten to where I am, in my 30s, of understanding and getting to a place that people in their 80s are just figuring out,
Yeah.
Without all of that, I think all of those parts played an important role in making me get to this point.
Yeah.
Amongst all of that, I was taking care of my mom, who was paralyzed with brain cancer and she passed away in my house. My dad and I have an estranged relationship because he just never, I don't think, wanted a daughter, if I can be,
Sure.
And so like you have all these different elements you're working through amongst also trying to build all of these other things. And so you're trying to prove that you can take care of your mom and make sure you can do it by yourself. You don't need help. You're trying to make your dad love you, essentially.
Yeah.
You're trying to make those around you that doubted you, prove them wrong. You're trying to prove that you can be good, not just for being a girl.
Yeah.
I think all of those things had to compound to get to that breaking
Right.
point. And so I don't know that I would really take anything back.
Yeah.
I think I did the best I could with what I knew and what I had, and
Yeah.
only up from here.
Sounds like you were navigating quite a few things at
Yeah.
that time. Maybe 5 times more than the average person might be navigating at the same time.
Maybe. I think everyone has a lot of things they're not saying. I think that quiet weight of doing those things too. A lot of people carry that quiet weight of I never want anyone to feel sorry for me. But I remember when I was taking care of my mom, something that I always like said through my head is like, it's not about the challenges, it's how you overcome them. It's not about the challenges, it's how you overcome them. Like no one gives a shit what you're going through right now. Just come out. It's what you take from this and how you grow from it.
Yeah.
And which kind of plays into one of my favorite phrases in life, and what I've really embraced is it's not about what your past did to you, it's what it did for you. And so all of these things are what my past did for me in this lesson.
Yeah. My mom says the same thing. It's like, life happens for you. And it usually comes at a time where I'm like, fuck off, mom. Like, it's
For
terrible
real,
right
for
now.
real.
It's not the time to say that to me, mom. Like, but it almost always works out. And one quote that I will always remember from Virgil, my grandpa, was, it'll always work out in the end. And if it doesn't, then it's not the end yet. So something like that, or happens for you, that all those
That's really
same
great.
comments. Yeah. Something I always try to remember when seemingly life is terrible, and at the end of the day, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
Just a small moment in time. So then going off of that piece of, Alex navigating multiple things, and you talked about this guy that had the island and the Porsches and all the things, right? At what point in time did you realize that this level of achievement that you were chasing didn't stack up to the feelings that you maybe thought it would at some point in time?
I think a combination of realizing that, like, okay, I've done all of these things and the people that I'm trying to validate to don't care, right? So there's really that moment of like, man, I could be the president and
Yeah.
these people aren't going to want to be in my life. So
Right.
so letting go of that. I totally just forgot the question you asked me, but
Yeah, I mean, I think the hardest part of being in our space, I mean, so even just for reference, so like where we're at right now, 5 years ago when I was starting this business, I said to myself and Jordan Mitleiter, who's my co-founder and co-business owner, partner, we were like, if we could just have like a building and like a company vehicle, some camera packages and lighting, and like a handful of employees, like that's it. Like that's all we're asking for, God. Like that's all I'm gonna ask for. Like this, seemingly insurmountable. And then now that I'm here, I have none of those same feelings. There's none of that same like lottery winnings. One, probably because I've earned it, and two, because it's been years, and three, because I've experienced up and downs, and I've been here to weather the storms. But for when you got to that point of realization of you've achieved these things, when did it settle in that like, well, shit, there's never going to be enough, right?
yeah, I think that empty feeling. So I remember when I started in the sign industry, there was this magazine called, there's one called Sign Builder Illustrated and one called Signs of the Times.
Okay.
And I looked through it and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm being featured in these magazines, not once, not twice, but numerous times.
Yeah.
One time on the cover.
Yeah.
And then I went to my very first sign show and they had this like board and it said the ISA Elite. These are your up and coming young people you have to know in the sign industry.
And it's like,
And I was like, wow. And then I ended up on that board and like all
Yeah.
these things started happening. But I felt like, gosh, like, why don't I feel happier? Like, what's going on?
I made
What's
it,
wrong?
right? I mean,
yeah.
I did the thing.
Yeah, like these things that were like people dream about and I even like thought would be so cool and I'm here and like, why?
Like,
Yeah, I was like almost like the excitement was just hearing like, oh, you won. Okay, great. Okay, that was it. Like on to the
like,
next thing.
where is this ethereal feeling that I
Yeah.
was hoping I would reach and calm all my nerves and worries and stressors? And
Yeah. And, small business award, it was, this is maybe different, but when we won the small business award for the chamber in
yeah, the
Bismarck,
year, yep.
like third year in business, we win this award and I walk out of the parking lot where there was no cell service in there, right?
Yeah.
Because back then they hadn't done a better job at the Civic Center of making sure you could actually call someone, right? So you walk out and all of a sudden your phone starts vibrating.
Yeah.
And someone's ripping me a new asshole because they didn't like the design I put together. And
You're like, oh my God.
and just like that little
Gone.
bit of excitement was
See
just
ya.
out the window because all I could think about is problem solver brain.
Yep.
How do I make them happy? I'm a people pleaser. Like I don't want them to be upset. I just misunderstood what they were asking for. It's not a big deal.
Yeah,
I'll
the
get
world's
it off
not
to you.
over. Like,
Yeah, correct. But I think those you start to realize that all of these things that we thought were success are maybe just like little tiny things along the way, and it wasn't fulfilling.
right.
It was short term.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think back, you know, I'm into cars, and like I
Yep.
think most people that know me, know that I'm very into cars, and I will always say, and remember back. I remember the song, and it's when I bought my first car by myself, own loan, no mom co-signing it, you know, no one else putting the down payment on it. And I remember I went down to Minneapolis. I think I went down there from Carrington when I was living there. Bought the car. Had driven the car before, test drove it, but I signed it, you know, got the title, got in the car, and that first 200 feet driving that car, it was the closest I've ever had to like end of a movie, drive off in the sunset, like pure ecstasy, unadulterated freedom. And every car that I've bought since then has been like this. Even though the performance and the prestige or the
Yeah.
quickness of it has gone up exponentially, it does not and will never compare to that first car that I had bought by myself. And I think that for me, not trying to overtake the podcast, but I think that's a huge relating point of it's just, you know, I don't know what it is, just back when there wasn't as much and that little piece of freedom meant so much to you, and now it's
Yeah,
just
it was
nothing.
more than just the car, right?
Yeah.
The car wasn't the only thing. Where
It
now
was-
you're not trying to find freedom by buying another car.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
the
right?
third car, the fourth car doesn't add that. You know, it was I did this by myself.
Yeah.
I'm an adult. I have my own sense of freedom and responsibility, and I earned this, and it took 6 months to save up
Yeah.
versus just going to the car lot and picking one out. You know, not that I do that or could do that necessarily, so to speak, but yeah, it's such a funny, fickle thing that we've allowed ourselves to be conditioned or have conditioned ourselves.
I totally got to the point where like my dream car was a Lincoln Aviator.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice car.
Yeah, I loved it as a designer. I'm like, oh my God, the body
So
lines are so pretty. And I got it, and there's like a million bells and whistles in this thing, right?
Oh,
like
yeah, they're
so
done
much
up.
electronics. So like randomly my hatch would just not work, or randomly the rear view camera and Lincoln's like, let's just, I mean, it just is what it is. You try to do an
Yeah.
update.
Right.
You take it to the dealership, they'll hold it for 4 weeks and try
Yeah.
to find something and then tell you there's nothing wrong, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you're sick.
so when I decided I was going to sell my business, I drove my ass over to the Ford dealership, and our buddy works there, and I was
Yeah.
like, I just want a pickup
want a
with
car.
cloth seats.
Yeah.
I don't want anything fancy.
Yeah.
I'm tired. You take this Aviator, do what you
Yeah.
want with it, but I'm freaking done.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I think that was all kind of part of that progression of like just wanting a simple life back. All those bells and
Yeah.
whistles, all
Make
that
it just
fancy
work
stuff.
when I need it to.
Yeah.
Like,
And I just want a photo album
Yeah.
with real printed pictures in it. I don't want to make a photo book. I think maybe like trying to make things easier, we've unintentionally like made everything so much more complicated and
absolutely.
energy sucking. And
Yeah.
but anyways,
100%. So, you know, going into, you know, this achievement without fulfillment, which is what we just kind of touched on. I'm assuming you had reached these milestones that like younger you would have been proud of, or even like 5 years ago from, you know, the time zone of when you had realized, you know, this wasn't kind of what I wanted this to be. You would have vastly impressed, you know, 5 years ago, Alex. What did it feel like when they didn't really fill that space as time went on? And I guess when did you finally start to realize that, or did we keep just kind of trying to push for something next and next and next in those moments?
I think the problem solving part of me, even like knowing that I needed to maybe, I hate saying slow down because people in my life that have like, I think been intimidated by me in sorts have always been like, you just need to slow down. You just need to slow down.
So that
And
phrase
so
isn't
that like
good.
sets me
Yeah.
off a little bit. But I think even though I knew sometimes that my path wasn't the right one, I would just get so sidetracked by all these like issues in business and other things that would just like make me keep going. I'm like, I'll just take care of this and then I'll get to it. I'll just take care of this. But then I finally just realized, like, I sat in my car and I was like, 10 years from now, I'm still solving the same shit
Yeah.
for 2X or wherever.
Yeah.
Would I be happy? And it was like, I didn't even think about it. I was like, hell no.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
kind of like started like all right, it is time to make a change. If 10 years from now, I'm like embarrassed to still be doing the same thing I'm doing now,
Yeah.
what am I doing?
Absolutely. Where do you remember where you were at? Was it like out just out?
Oh, I was in my garage. I was
Okay.
like the tipping point.
Yeah.
Someone had made a comment that was disrespectful tone and things. And I drove home and I pulled into my garage, and I'm not a crier. I know I mentioned crying a couple times. These, like, you guys have heard every time I've cried in my life on this podcast, I think. But I got into my garage and I just like started crying. And then I got to the end and I was like, what am I doing? And I thought that like 10 years from now I'd have him. I was like, hell no. I called my husband, and he's really great and supportive. And
that's awesome.
And I was like, I'm done. And he goes, okay. I was like, really? Like, I need to sell. And he goes, all right, make your plan. I know you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I know you know how to do it.
Yeah.
So rock and roll. What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
So that Monday I went in and I talked to my partners and I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm done.
It sounds like he maybe knew it for a longer time than you did.
He was probably crossing his fingers that that's what I was calling about. You know, I think he was ready for me to be done long before that.
How did that love and support, though, of not having another external pressure, now realizing that?
Oh, huge. Or like, you mean like how it was like having his support?
Yeah,
and him, like,
realizing it now that there wasn't another person pushing or pulling you to make a decision.
Yeah, for sure. I am very fortunate. I tell people that, like, in what I've been able to do, I take some credit in getting myself to that point, but I also a lot of credit in him as my husband, like helping me get there as well, right? Like, it takes two to build a family and do all these things. And he's super supportive. And I mean, not everyone can be married to someone that talks business 200% of the time.
Absolutely.
I always joke, I'm like, if there's one thing my husband probably doesn't want to hear about, it's business. But
yeah, absolutely. No, he's great. So then going back in the same vision of trying to make you think a lot, right? About, you know, when did you realize again, you know, if the garage moment was the tipping point, when did you start to realize that this version that you were chasing wasn't going to be what you wanted in the future? As you know, you said you asked yourself 10 years in the future, but were there certain moments in the office or comments or in installs that you maybe were getting those glimpses of, like?
I think ultimately for me, it was, I had just constantly read books and researched and watched podcasts and gone to speakers and just, like, you know, they say you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, right? And the people I was surrounding myself with was like fiction. It was like, it was nonfiction books, but like, it was, you know, I wasn't real people.
Right.
But it was helping me just get this bigger and bigger understanding of what I was doing and where I needed to go and what that looked like. And business wise, I knew very strategically how I needed to get where I wanted to go. But at the end of the day, I have business partners.
Yeah.
And
the hurdle.
Yeah, it's hard enough to align your life and like your success and your business with your values, right? Having all of that in alignment. Now you take 2 other people who have different values, different ideas of success, different understandings of business, and you try to align with them. And ultimately, if I was the sole owner of that business, maybe things would have been different, right? Because that's all on my shoulders.
Right.
And I could align that off of my life.
Yeah.
But I can't expect 2 other people to align their values with mine. Like, right? Like, we all have our own.
You got to mesh into some kind of triangle of shared, and these
Correct.
are different, and these are different, these are different.
Yeah. So I was willing to work harder and do more things to be able to have more freedom or get to this point, to be more present with family and things like that. But I can't make them also value the things that I value in the way that I do. Or also, I'm very visionary, and like, that's probably another whole dynamic that's tough to work with when you're not visionary, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that was the biggest thing for me within my business is I felt like I could only get so far because I only have so much control, right? You're one of 3, and nothing against their values or what they wanted to do. It just wasn't the perfect marriage to make.
Yeah.
Or at least for me, for what I wanted out of life.
Yeah. It was okay to date for a while, but
correct.
Wasn't okay to tie the knot. And just for people listening, when did you make that, or how did that bridge go from working for this business then going into ownership with these 2 other partners? Or was it the same business, or how did that work?
No, we worked together at a prior company, and essentially that company ended up selling to a larger group, private equity, and they were gonna just try to streamline things and take it in a different direction. And at the time, we just thought, like, hey, we don't know if we're like the direction it's going to go.
Yeah.
Why not try our own thing? And when I got into business, like I didn't know anything about business.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit like scary, but at the end of the day, I got into it, and that pursuit to be like innovative and that visionary brain and all of those things, I just kept going and going and going and like seeking out anything and everything I could find and read. And 200 business books later, I feel like I maybe kind of know something about business, but it's just still scratching the surface.
Yeah. So then you three just started your own thing from scratch.
Yep, from scratch. Yeah. The coolest compliment I feel like we ever got was 1 year into business, everyone kept asking me like, when did you buy Bismarck Sign Company from the other owners? And I was like, no, I started it. And they're like, no, we see it everywhere. And I was like, yeah,
we just
intentionally.
did this.
Like I am busted ass on.
This wasn't just here.
And the social media was like just getting big then, or like just becoming a thing, right? And and I had started doing that for the company prior on my own, like to help because I was doing sales, and I just leveraged the hell out of that. This is before the algorithms were really like playing all the games that they play today. Like it was pretty easy to rule the feed.
Post stuff and people see it, and you can stay consistent, and
you know, like that psychology, like the colors people want to see, not just taking a photo, but taking a photo with depth of field and brightness and all those different things, and that was fun. I loved that, and I think that contributed to being able to take things to the next level. Also, embracing branding, which you guys know all about,
which is like what you guys did or did all the time there, right? I mean,
that was my game, was like, how can I take this company and blow them up for them? Like, and so even still today, you know, wrapping a vehicle is cheapest cost per impression. Yeah. So it's you wrap it with your van, but
no, it still looks great.
So
that was one of the last things that you maybe got to work on over there.
Yep. Yeah.
So as you were going through, these moments, this awareness of this chasing this younger self's dream isn't working out. It's probably influencing decisions. Ultimately, I guess, what does that look like now, today, and all those decisions that you've made to not continue to chase those things, and just maybe summing those up again for me?
Like, how does it feel to be in that new
feel and look like? Yeah, like what does that look like nowadays, since we've just covered kind of what it used to look like for you?
I think it looks very freeing. It very much looks like a schedule that is intentionally planned to not be straight stress, to feed those things that I love to do. I think it's really scary, like going from having a good salary to not knowing if you're going to have a salary or things like that. Yeah. And in everything I read, it said, if you're doing what you love and you're doing it for the right reasons, the money will come, right? Yeah. And it's just crazy. Like, you just start doing these things and then your phone rings, and you're doing some more things and your phone rings. And now all these opportunities are coming out of the woodwork that you maybe never had before. And some are a yes, some are a no, some are like, I'm out 4 months, I'll call you in 4 months. And if you're still interested, I'll help you there. Yeah. I've been able to pump out children's books and some journals and things. And so I don't know. It's so peaceful and energizing, and like, you're not tired all day, every day. The only thing is the days still go really freaking fast. Yeah. It's like, now I'm so excited to do all the things, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get my kids. I'm not ready to get my kids. I love them, but I'm still finishing this up.
I'm deep in this thing now. Yeah. Yeah. I'm assuming the days probably go by faster than they used to for you.
Yeah. I think it's like, they both it's weird. So before, the days felt so long, but the months just flew by, and you felt like, how did my kids grow up when I didn't even see this happen? Yeah. Where now it's like, the days go really fast, but like the time with my kids is not just disappearing. Yeah. So it's like completely reversed.
And how does that feel now to reflect on that reality?
Awesome. I can't wait for summer too, where I can just we can hook up the camper and head wherever we want, and I can just work from there. Like, if I want to write a book or work on the course or whatever that looks like, I own my time. Yeah. Not my employees or my customers, and intentionally not building something to where, like, any of the businesses that I am working on building now, none of them require employees or people that need me to be in an office. Yeah. Which is my plan. Like, that's my alignment thing, is I'll never own another building where people need me there. That's just
Yeah.
not part of what I want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously awareness is one thing, acting on it's another. For you, obviously that shift happened in a very physical space in your garage and created a very real new reality. Going back to this same train of thought, though, of other things that maybe were catalysts to you choosing the life you have now for the future, of going back to the morning where there was something that you found on your neck, and what was maybe going through your mind at that time.
That was really bizarre, actually. I went to bed and I was completely normal, and I woke up and I couldn't swallow, and I was like, what the hell? But I just got in the shower, the normal morning routine, right?
Whatever.
It's my last week of owning this business. I got 3 days to go. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
And I get in the shower and I'm like, God, why can't I swallow? And I feel my neck and I'm like, holy shit.
That's not...
There's a golf ball size coming out of my neck. What? Weird. So I yelled at Matt and I was like, oh my God, I need you to come look at this. And he comes over and he's like, what? I was like, is there a golf ball coming out of my neck? And he was like, yeah, it kind of looks like that, huh? And so when your mom has been sick since you're 12, the first thing your brain goes to is cancer, right?
Right.
And you immediately diffuse that, because at this point in your life, you thought you had cancer 375 times, and it's been negative every time. So you just put that to rest. And so I convinced myself it's fine. I'm fine. And then I took a photo, a selfie, and I sent it to my friend group. And I was like, y'all think I should go to the walk-in clinic or just wait it out? And one friend was like, I don't know, it kind of looks like a lymph node. The other one goes, get your ass to the walk-in clinic. So I went to the walk-in clinic and I sat there for 45 minutes. Of course, there's a million people that are sick. So I was reading some business book. I don't remember which one, but I'm just guarantee it. Reading a book, and they call me back, and I go back and I'm completely calm because I convinced myself everything's fine.
Yeah.
And the nurse comes in and she checks everything out. She leaves, and the doctor comes in and sees me, and her eyes switch to oh fuck.
Problem solve this shit out of this.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I know those eyes.
Yeah, you're
I've seen those eyes in the mirror before.
And she's checks everything out, and then she comes back and she goes, this is very serious. You need to get right to the emergency room. I've called them. I let them know you're coming. Do not go anywhere else. Go straight there. And this is very serious, and you need to get over there or whatever. I was like,
sick. Yeah.
The emotions just I was like, I'm 3 days from being retired.
Don't let me die.
I can't die now. Oh my God.
I got through all this shit to die in the stupid emergency room.
I'm like, I'm so sorry, I never cry. And then I calm myself down.
Yeah.
And I leave, and I'm like, I don't want anyone in this, put my glasses on. I don't want anyone to know I was crying.
Yeah.
And I get in the truck and I call Matt, and he says hello, and then just
I started bawling all again. Yeah.
All this work, I'm 3 days from fucking retiring, and now I'm gonna have lymphoma and I'm gonna die. Yeah. This is it. All of this. I waited too long.
Yeah.
Here I am.
3 days too long.
Yep. Here we are. And he, of course, he's very calm, and he's like, hey, you don't know that yet. I'll meet you at the emergency room. I'll be there waiting. I will be by you all day. We'll figure it out. And so we went to the emergency room, spent all day there. Turns out it was my thyroid. Did some Googling. Turns out if you have thyroid cancer, it's really easy to take care of. And naturally, sorry, Sanford, I'm not trying to talk shit about you here, but naturally they're like, okay, you need to go see an ENT after they did all this stuff. It's basically needs to be ruled that you need a biopsy.
Sure.
Well, that's 1 to 2 months out. So you're already in the height of this, what the hell's happening.
Yeah.
And then they're like, just 1 to 2 months and then we'll know or whatever. And so I ended up just messaging Mayo, and Mayo got me in.
Nice.
And so we went up to Mayo.
Quick, yeah.
Yeah, we drove up to Mayo. Mayo did a biopsy, and everything was fine. My labs were off, but they were we're going to monitor things. In another month, we want you to come back and do labs. We'll go from there. And everything just started getting better. It was just, I was feeling better. It was getting smaller. And then 2 months later, then I ended up getting lab work done. And I just did it locally because I was feeling so good. And they're like, your labs are perfect. This thing is gone. We don't know how, why, what, but it's gone. And that was a huge, holy shit.
Yeah.
Stress can just make the most bizarre
Shit
things
pop
happen.
out of your body.
Literally.
Yeah.
So we golf in golf league, right?
Yeah.
And we had this golf ball and it said dick handler on it. And we always joked about like it was our favorite ball, our women's golf team. Like, where's the dick handler? Well, I hit the dick handler and it like went back behind like the screen and we never found it again.
Oh, no.
And so the joke was I actually swallowed it. And then,
Oh,
so anyways,
gosh.
hopefully the next time I lose a ball though, it doesn't just show up in my throat. But
Somewhere else or not anywhere. I mean, what were other thoughts about like the way you had been living as you're maybe like sitting there on the phone or going to the ER room? Like what other thoughts were there out of your mind? Was it like I should have done this, or I need to change this, or I got 3 days, I'll just tough it out, or what are some other thoughts of just like your overall
I think that
outlook?
like every time anything happens, the first thing I think of is my kids, right? And I think being the kid that lost her mom, whose mom was sick from a young age, you know what it's like to lose your mom. And so as a mom and as a protector, you never want your kids to have to feel that. And anytime in like growth exercises through the years that we would do on reflecting on like if you died, how would your kids remember you? Or if you let's say you died and you could go back and write your kids a letter, what would you say? Like those exercises. And it always came back down to like, I wish I had more patience. I wish I was more present. I wish that like you didn't get the worst of me. And all of those things, like all of that, like that's where I was headed to work on, right? And that's what I didn't want them to remember me as. And you talk about like generational trauma and you know, kind of how my dad kind of being in that same stress thing.
Yeah.
How his stress affected me and I didn't want that to affect them. And so that's I think always weighs the heaviest was Matt's known me since I was young and not stressed out, right? Or I mean kind of. I've always had family stuff going on. But my kids, I don't want their only memory of the person that they like
Mama's stressed or whatever.
Like mom was just always yelling or unhappy or whatever, or gone. There's a lot of nights I had to wrap vehicles super late and all of that. Like I wish I could go back and change that, but you can't. So it's only going forward. And
right.
But yeah, if something would happen that day, that would have been for sure my regret is I was not present enough with my kids. I was there, just not present.
Yeah. So then off that, I mean, when your labs came back, 2 months post golf ball lodged in your neck, was there anything, that you decided that you couldn't like ignore any longer? You obviously were already like halfway out the door, of this partnership or business ownership. I mean, was there anything else that you were like just thinking of that you couldn't just deprioritize anymore or shove off personally?
I think I was already in such a deep state of I am going to live this life that is aligned with my values, whether anyone likes it or not, that it didn't really, like it was already there. And it just kind of like was like this, like the big slap in the face of you're doing the right thing, like making this like, congratulations, Banner, you chose the right, you chose the right life. Or like, up. And so I think like, I think it just solidified that I made the right decision. And I look back and I'm like, if I hadn't have sold my business, if that wasn't my last 3 days, what would that golf ball have turned into? If I hadn't have been able to just completely shut everything down and when you're burnt the F out, it takes time. Like I'm still kind of coming back out of that.
Absolutely. I mean, years.
Yeah.
Or decades of it.
It was wild. I remember I went to a spiritual therapist and I was like, my brain's not working. Fix it, please.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of anything. I'm a visionary that probably couldn't draw a circle right now. Can you help me out? And I learned that it's very much a muscle memory thing, right? Your brain is used to going 1,000,000 miles an hour nonstop. It doesn't know what to do when you just stop.
And now you're not in that constant flight or fight response.
Yeah. And it's been in fight or flight your whole life. And then now all of a sudden it doesn't have to fight anymore. And it's like, what do I do?
Should be here. Yeah.
Yep. But I'm happy to say my visionary brain is coming back and it's, but it's scary. It's scary when all of a sudden you're like,
it's different, but it's better.
Yeah. So you have like this piece that's back, but my brain, I think my brain was the hardest thing. Like my brain has always been my superpower, and now what?
Yeah, now I don't have that. My identity's gone. My other identity, actual identity of like my real business ownership identity is gone.
Yes.
And it's like now, yeah. I mean, in what my therapist talked about aligns with that, and she's mentioned that most people's brains, especially in business ownership and visionaries, there's times and places for the quick sprints, but you can't sprint the marathon or the ultra marathon. And there's times and places that you can and should, but doing that for years doesn't pan out as a net positive at the end of the day.
100%. That is exactly like when I was researching, is what I read. It's like you can't, like you said, you can't sprint the marathon every single day and then stop and expect that your legs aren't going to hurt.
Something's going to go.
Something, yeah.
So.
Yep.
So, obviously that moment, one, in the car, asking yourself about 10 years down the line, it's like, is this really what I want for my life? Waking up and standing in the shower and calling Matt over to look at your neck is another thing. But, I want to go back a little bit of, the weight that you've carried behind the scenes, the weight of motherhood and leadership at the same time. Two pretty tough things that I will never experience gender wise, but ultimately, as a parent of what I want to be more than anything, right? And obviously still have a business today. Who knows what happens tomorrow? But what did your days actually look like in the hardest stretch of running the business and then having the kids at home? And then how old were they at the time?
So when I started the business, my oldest was 1. And then I had Jacqueline during COVID. But it's like nothing you can prepare for. I think trying to run a business and trying to keep your employees and clients happy, and then at home, like you're running like kind of another business in a sense, right? Like you gotta make sure people are fed and laundry is done and house is clean and kids are taken care of. And it's like a whole nother level that I wasn't sure I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Would I go back and change it? No. But what I would go back and change is like I never took maternity leave. I never took a break. I just had kids and went right back to it. Jacqueline was born and she was in the NICU, and 3 days after she was born, on the 3rd day, so maybe 2 days after, on the 3rd day, I went and installed vinyl because they needed help and no one else knew how to do it. So I climbed a ladder and did it. Would I recommend doing that after having a kid? No, I wouldn't. Going hindsight 2020, that was stupid. But when you're in it and you're like, everyone depends on me, I need to take care of it. And then 3 weeks after she was born is when I hit the bus station incident. And so it just it wears you out on a level that you're not prepared for. And when my second one was born, our daycare lady decided to retire on a whim, and so then I had nowhere to take this baby, so she had to come with me to the office. And I'm a contractor, right? I have X-Acto knives, I have heat guns, I have
it's not like a very baby friendly type of vibe.
100%. One minute you're in a board meeting, the next minute you're on a call with a client, and the next minute you're climbing up a ladder with a knife in your hand, right? And then I got this baby. I was like, I don't know how this is gonna work, but we figured it out. It was very stressful, but we figured it out. She eventually was able to get into daycare. I remember talking to the daycare lady, and she had said, well, I have a home daycare now, but I'm gonna be opening a center. And I was like, listen, I am gonna get you the best looking signs for the best price.
Now.
If you can get me into your daycare, please.
Whatever you want.
Please. This is not working having her here. And she's still with that. She's this, the lady that owns the center now. Jacqueline will graduate from preschool and go to kindergarten. And she was getting a little teary eyed the other day when we were talking about it. But
yeah, I bet.
But yeah, anyways, it's just, you have to be on nonstop. And when you have babies, you're up every 2 hours all night. And it's just a lot, but you get through it and you look back and you wish you could have some of those times back. Right. But when you're in it, you're just trying to survive.
Oh my God, just
there's a lot of survival.
Tomorrow. Just the next hour, one more hour.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the bus depot, and there's a story about that. and thinking that you had maybe hit somebody.
Yep.
What did that moment reveal about your limits?
Yeah, I'm happy to be able to laugh about that now. In the situation, it was really not laughable. But so 3 weeks after I had Jacqueline, I needed to wrap this. This bus needed to get wrapped. They weren't going to get it done on the deadline, and so I had to go in and help. And when you have NICU babies, they like make you breastfeed, or they they really highly suggest it. So as a mom, you're like, all right, I feel like I have to do what they're saying. And so I was waking up to either feed or pump every 2 hours, and I was fucking exhausted. And wrap this bus. I'm like, my body fucking hates me right now, right? I had a kid 3 weeks ago. Now I'm standing on the ladders and feet and leveraging this bus. Get it done and get out to my car, and I'm like ready to just collapse in the pavement. But get in my car and put it in reverse, just ready to go home, and boom! I was like, oh shit. Please, Lord,
Anything but somebody.
Yes, please let it not be a human. But it's the bus station, and there's people that hang out around the bus station at night because they're waiting for the bus to come in and leave town and whatever else. And so I got out of my car and I was like, please, 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 please. I get out and it's just a light post, and I did just barely any damage to the back of my car.
Yeah, you're like whatever.
And I got back in my car and I cried, and I was like, oh my God. I can't do this. I'm so fucking tired.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I can drive myself home tonight. I'm so tired.
Right.
And that was my point of all right, that feeding is over. We're going to formula. I'm sorry, kid.
Can't.
If someday you want to tell me you didn't get into an Ivy League school because of that, fine.
I'll take the blame.
We'll take it because we
Mom's
might not all.
For it,
yeah, right. I might not survive otherwise.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge wake up call for me that night. Because, man, when you think you hit someone, it's
a pretty big sign from somebody, something, somewhere, somehow.
Yeah, for sure.
That maybe we should start to listen to it.
For sure.
So then going back to, literally less than a handful of days, after giving birth, then going back to work. How did emotionally being needed at home, but then strategically needed at work, stretch you in ways that maybe people didn't see in the moment or that were around you at that time?
I think it just absolutely drained your battery. Kind of like an iPhone that's 6 years old. You charge it and a couple hours later, it's like battery's empty.
Yeah.
I think you push through, it's that survival mode. You push through regardless. But I think it has a mental toll and a physical toll. You're not spending time eating well. You're not spending time in the gym because any minute that you get, you're like, I just need to think. I need to just sit in silence.
Yeah.
And so to this day, I still I'll drive across the state with the radio off and not even realize silence. I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think your brain craves that. There's so much going on and it's nonstop. And I found that I craved silence. I craved when I talk about wanting vacation, I just craved the ocean. Someone just once a year dropped me off in San Diego. Once wasn't enough, but that's what I would do. Right. And I just sit by the ocean and just stare and just smell the salt and feel the air and hear that waves and that overpowering, just reset. But it just wore me the fuck out. I was shot. And looking back, I don't know how I did it. I don't ever want to do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think now, realizing, do you think people saw that in you, or that you were navigating these things as you look back on it? Do you think it was obvious, or do you think that you had a pretty good poker face on during all this?
I feel like I had a good poker face. Starting with my mom getting sick at 12 and having to step up and help raise my brothers and take care of all these, we had a ranch with animals that had to be taken care of. And just from a really young age, I was taught you just suck it up and do it. This is your responsibility. Figure it out.
Right.
And I also have just always had an awareness of what's happening, what the bigger picture is. There's, talking about it isn't going to help me get it taken care of any better. I couldn't just call my parents and ask for help, right? I don't have parents to do that. And so you just are occasionally you find yourself in a corner going God damn it, I wish I had someone else to help. But here you are. It's not about the challenges in life. It's how you overcome them,
Yep.
So
there it is.
figure it out. But yeah, no, I wasn't one probably to ask for help often.
Yeah. Do you think if you could go back in time, you would have asked for more help from people around you?
Yeah, I think if I could go back, I have like I said, my friends are just incredible humans, and I know that they would have helped if I asked. But I also was raised that like you're an inconvenience to people, kind of like you don't bother anybody, you don't ask for anything, you figure it out. When my mom got sick, they did like a fundraiser for her, and my dad like was pissed about that. Like we don't accept help kind of mentality, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny how like when you're a kid, that just like sponge brain just pulls that in, and that's what you do. And you're like, I don't ever want anyone to feel sorry for me. And I think that that's a big part of it too, is I don't want anyone to like, I know there's people that have it way worse than I do. So, but hindsight, I would definitely talk to my friends.
But it's okay to be loved and cared about.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Which
yeah.
is the rephrasing of that and the positivity of what it should be, right?
Yeah.
You know. So I'm guessing that some of the haters, right, or people in general, maybe assumed you sold your share and portion of the business to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
What did that maybe stir inside of you, or how did that come across, or how did you navigate those assumptions and or messages or whatever they were communicated to you as?
I kind of felt a little bit like someone was implying like that I should just go home and disappear, kind of, right? Like like if I'm gonna go be your stay-at-home mom, take care of your kids, and business isn't for girls, kind of is kind of how I felt, right?
Sure.
Like you're better suited to be at home than be in business.
Sure.
And that obviously didn't sit well with me.
That's surprising.
No, because I was like, I never communicated that. That was never my plan. I never planned. And first off, to the stay-at-home moms out there, they're all rock stars, and I couldn't do it.
For sure.
Like that is another level above me, and I can't do that. I love my children to death, but that's just not what my brain is wired to do.
Yeah.
But I never intended to just quit and not do business. Like business is fun. It's strategic. I'm a visionary.
It's
like
part of you.
yeah, it's part of who I am. And so to me it was like I took it a little offensive. Like what? Like, no, I'm not just going to disappear. No, I'm not just going to just sit at home all day. My kids are in school. Like, do you know me? Do you know my husband? My husband would laugh. Oh my God.
Like, go insane.
when actually someone mentioned that, Matt like laughed so hard, and he was like, clearly people don't know my wife, because like she'd probably build a new house or remodel this one. Like
come back home to
yeah. I can't just sit here and do nothing all day.
Yeah.
And so no, I had obviously other things up my sleeve of businesses that I would build that were in line with my values. And
yeah. Do you think that was another thing from the universe helping you detach from just people's opinions or people's thoughts about whatever you have going on, because they have zero clarity into what actually is reality?
For sure. I think I'm still like, it's, you know that that's what you should do, right? But it's one thing to know it, another thing to believe it.
Yeah.
And then to live it. And so I think I know and believe that I shouldn't care about those things, but it still hurts. Like when you hear people that you thought cared about you say things like that, and you're like, wow, great. I'm glad that's what you viewed me as, or that you want me to just disappear, or that I'm not capable of doing something on my own or whatnot. But, and that's okay. Like we talked about earlier, you know, this real estate, I obviously hold real estate in their brain, and not letting them held in mine. But I
mean, I think it's always a tough realization that after so many years, it's like, well, shit, this is like who you've always been, or you've never actually wanted me to do better than you, or whatever it is, you know. A lot of those quotes of like, you know, sometimes your closest people aren't always your best supporters, and your you know, the people you don't know support you, but then also it comes both ways. So the people you thought supported you to a point, and then once they get to a point, or you get to the point of, you know, I don't think we have more of those people in our lives than not, or the other way around. But yeah, I think I've come to some of those realizations as well too, of people that you thought were going to be supporting there, and then once you do something different, it's not what they wanted you to do, and then
I've always like laughed at people are like, you think they're just jealous? I'm like, I've never thought of anyone being jealous of me, because I'm such a visionary that I'm like, I have my own goals. Why would you want mine? You don't want my goals. Like, I have my reasons of why I want to get where I want to go in my dreams. Don't you have your own dreams?
Yeah.
And so like, I'm not taking your dreams away, because I'm just focused on mine. And even when I had my business or was, when we had the sign company, like I was never focused on the competition because again, their values and where they're going are different than mine.
Right.
And so why would I focus on theirs and follow their stuff? Because that's certainly not taking me in the right direction.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so anyway, I've never really understood that part.
Yeah.
I've never really like looked at anyone else and been jealous. So the
Yeah.
thought of like thinking anyone else might be like offended by your success because they wanted it is weird to me.
It's an interesting concept to try to navigate.
Mm-hmm.
So you are obviously managing more than just tasks in this part of your life that we just talked about. There's energy, identity, expectations, some self-imposed, right? Some external. Next, I want to talk about how that shaped the leader that you've become. I think you've described yourself as both visionary and also somewhat of a former introvert at times. How do those two traits coexist in your form of leadership, and what does that look like as well?
I think that, I mean, at least in my opinion, that introverts make really great leaders, and it's because we don't need to hear ourselves talk. Like we sit back and we listen, and I think the best leaders listen, and they understand, and they're not just like nodding their head, right? And so for me, being an introvert, I spent a lot of time listening and understanding and knowing like what social cues mattered. And right, like I think we've all read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, right?
Absolutely.
I find that it's really funny. I like smile all the time, and I'm like, oh my God, that's another one of those cues he talks about, right?
Yeah.
But you start to figure those things out, and I think that being an introvert and being a leader is like, I think they can go hand in hand, for sure. And the biggest part of being a leader, I think, is influencing in the right way and hearing, understanding, having empathy, that emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those things came from me being an introvert and having to learn how to do all that.
Yeah. So when I think about from what you had just said, that you have a learned leadership style. You have your dad and you have your mom. Seems like a two varying of experiences on either side of pros and cons. You have a college degree and then a book that says get the fuck out of this industry. And then you have a place you worked and then a place you owned. I guess where in there do you maybe look at for yourself of where you maybe learned or observed that experience of what a good leader looked like?
I think that it was very learned over the years. I started to understand, like, with my own self and the leaders that I had above me, of what sparked that innovation, what made me be my best self, and then what type of leadership made me my worst self or made me not want to be there. And I like hyper fixated on like what those specific things were. And I think, it's so many leaders say like, we want to know what we can do better, and you tell them what you do better, and they're like, I don't want to hear your ideas.
Like what?
Yeah, and you're like, okay, well, great. Now that person you're leading is not going to be innovative.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, in about like 6 months, they're probably looking for a new job, because by that point in time, they're like, what am I doing here?
Super shut down all the time.
Yeah, like I don't, and so you start to pick out those things and understand that. And obviously now I've read, all kinds of leadership books and to back those things. But before even started, I think most of it was just learned, like understanding what drives people and what doesn't, and myself included.
Yeah. Do you think that you were shaped more by positive outcomes and experiences from leadership, or more so viewing the negative sides of what didn't work as you experienced leadership in your life?
I think both. I'm naturally like someone who wants to inspire people, so I look for the good. I try to find the good first. But I think there's also negative. Like I saw what really didn't go wrong, and even myself when we started our business, like I fucked a lot of shit up too myself, right? Like you live and you learn kind of thing. But I think a mixture of both. My dad, for as much as like, he played a stressful part in my childhood, at the same time, there's a lot of things I'm really grateful for.
Yeah.
And one of those things was We didn't have a farmhand. He just had me. And we would have to do these like ridiculously hard things, like taking an old diesel tank out of a basement of a house and up like little tiny stairway, and just him and I, like, and the whole time I'm like, this is going to crush me.
Yeah,
and
I'm
he's
going
like,
to die on the
yeah, right.
stairs.
And he's saying, you put anything you put your mind to. You can do anything you put your mind to. You can do anything you put your mind to, right? And understanding that, and eventually figured out, you know, you kind of can, like within reason, right?
Right.
But everything you didn't want to do, we pushed through and figured it out. And so that influence of someone who can still be like, you know, that I'm kind of scared of at the same time, but like also still was able to motivate me to do these things. Right. And I think some of those things played into leadership as well.
Absolutely. That always makes me think of putting your mind to it, like the David Goggins.
Oh gosh,
stuff,
yeah.
You know.
I'm not quite to his level.
I think he's got something going on in his brain that not a lot of people have going on in their brains.
Yeah, that is an intensity that I could not live at 24/7 and be okay.
I think there's balance and there's harmony. I think there's what I believe of, like, balance is bullshit. Harmony is centralized to yourself, right? A balance, I think, is someone's external judgment of what they think it should be, and harmony is what you believe it should be for yourself and what works. And I think David Goggins is harmonized in what he wants out of his life.
Correct, yeah.
For me, the balance is off, but it's a judgment, and it's my opinion, and it's not accurate for, you know, to him. Yeah. It could be accurate to my feelings, but my feelings and emotions don't matter to him, and they never will, because it's David Goggins.
Right?
Because he's, you know, whatever you want to call him.
Yep.
So I think this next question goes back to a little bit about being in a male-dominated industry. You obviously have a lot of insight and experience and great perspectives and overall just usefulness in many things and everything in your life. But when you're not the loudest person in the room as an introvert, how do you build influence?
I think quietly and like strategically. When you're not the loudest person in the room, you can get a message across in a like more efficient way. I think when someone's always loud and people tend to tune them out, right? Like when someone's always yapping and that's always just like the person in the room that needs the attention. It's not as effective as the person. Like you think of, you talk about the sweet grandpas who are like always super kind and quiet, but when shit hits the fan, look out, right? Yeah. And I think it's kind of the same thing, like quiet, collected. I think that a good leader doesn't let their emotions take over. Like you have empathy and you have emotional intelligence, so you're not just flipping out over things. You take time to just really process it and have a good response rather than just reacting. Yeah. And so I would say that is my 2 cents on that, and that's the way I like to approach things. Like no one ever wins when emotions just get really riled up, right? No one leaves that feeling like they solved things. And I don't know, I've seen a lot of just like emotionally draining days where people leave really upset, where you could have just approached it completely different and been okay. Yeah. And so
do you think that you executed that well amongst all of the chaos at like the height of the pandemonium of your life?
I mean, I think that I always did a good job, and maybe not always, but 9 times out of 10, I feel like I did a really good job of really just emotional intelligence has always been really important to me. And so handling things well. But then there becomes a point too where like enough is enough, and because you've always been calm, cool, and collected, people try to kind of walk all over you. And there have been moments where like I do raise my voice and things do happen because
like volume wise.
Like so people maybe saw a part of me that they never saw, and I tried to keep hidden a lot just because it wasn't necessary. But then sometimes it is necessary. Sometimes you need to make sure people understand, like, I'm not fucking around. Yeah. And I think I got my point across in those couple times, which again is more effective, right? Like Grandpa, when Grandpa's always happy, but when Grandpa's pissed,
you know,
right? And so I think it's more effective. If someone's always yelling, you're just on pins and needles.
You're like, okay, somehow. It's a little
Yeah,
different.
right? Like it's just you're just always on edge versus like it's not any more effective one time or another.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come off as sometimes that comes off very disrespectful, right? Where if you're just always level and cool and collected and occasionally you're like
Yeah.
oh shit, she
Yeah.
means she's serious.
Right. Yeah, and that reminds me of Virgil a ton.
Yeah.
You know, always the sweetest, always the nicest. I remember my mom told me, it was a couple years ago. We were out at the farm. My brother and I, the cousins, were just fucking around doing something stupid, and I remember I think Isla made him go and yell at us about something. And I remember my mom told me that later he came out of there crying, saying it was the worst thing he ever had to
Oh.
do. But we knew if he was mad, like you better
Yeah.
fucking listen up, because he is always the nicest, sweetest, most understanding. But yeah, now it's super funny to go back in time and learn that he hated that more than we hated
Yeah.
it, and how much he's like, oh, it's like the worst thing I've ever had to do, yelling at those kids.
Yes.
And we probably did something really stupid too. Like we definitely deserved it and should have known that it was obviously not the right thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. I am catching a ride home and I told him 1 to
Okay.
3, so I just want to let you know. So in case
At what time?
3.
Okay.
That's what I had blocked off on my calendar.
Okay. Sounds good.
So I
Yeah.
just wanted to
No, you're good. So looking at, you know, maybe of known as like a hype person for other people, where might that instinct to lift others come from?
for sure from my mom, as we kind of
Yeah.
talked earlier, how like from a young age she was like, you know, you can do anything you want, dream big, like the sky's the limit. I talked about being an architect, and she
Yeah.
got me an architect table and an architect book, and like or architecture table and architecture book, and
Yeah.
she was just like whatever I had any interest in, she did everything in her power, you know, to try to make that happen for me. And I have to say, I think that is where that comes from. Also, my parents, we came from like when I was little, my grandparents had a water plant operation that had it was a little bit ahead of its time, ended up going bankrupt. They
Yeah.
lost part of the farm, all these different things. Long story short, I watched my parents like come from nothing and work really, really, really hard to try to build that into something. My mom fight cancer all of those years. And through everything, just constantly be the cheerleader for those around her. And so I think it comes from that for sure.
Absolutely. Trying to navigate somewhat of a button up here. If your children were describing this chapter of your life years from now, what would you hope that they say about who you were becoming today for tomorrow?
I hope a couple things. I hope that they look at what I did and you know up until this point and think like, man, mom was a badass. That was pretty cool. And then like what's even cooler is that she had all of this stuff and all these things she was doing that was super cool, and she decided, you know what, I want to be present in my kids' lives, and I want to be there. I want to experience everything.
Yeah.
And then from there, I hope that they see that it's okay to choose that version of success and not like mom and dad aren't going to push you to be a surgeon that went to Harvard, right? Like if that's what you want, for sure, but that's
do
not
it.
what we want. Like
Yeah.
we want what aligns with your values, and there's going to be hard work and lessons along the way, but knowing that when you fully like feel and believe in something, that it's okay to make that turn.
Absolutely. So, you know, again, you know, listening to you, I think what has stood out to me the most is that your story wasn't, again, focused on building something or buying something. It was about building something through alignment, and probably many signs in your life was screaming towards, and we're all happy that we're at this spot now. You've obviously proved that you can win. You then asked whether that was enough, right? Or seeing your name up on the signs or the magazines or the spotlights. And I think that was a different kind of courage being shown to admit those things and to, veer off the path of what you maybe thought was success or what you wanted it to be. If someone is listening to this right now who feels successful on paper, but, like you have unsettled underneath, what would you hope they give themselves permission to reconsider?
I think for me, the first thing I would say is to understand like what you truly want out of life, which I know is abnormally difficult to do, right?
Yeah.
An exercise I recommend everyone to do is the reverse funeral, which is thinking about, you're at your own funeral and your community gets up to talk about you. What do they say? And then your friends get up to talk about you. What do they say? And then your kids give your eulogy, and then your spouse or partner. And then, like, are you happy with what they said? And then, okay, what would you hope that they said? And so for me, if I do that exercise in every single line, a word that would come out of it is inspire. I hope that I inspired them to do this. I hope that I inspired them. And so for me, inspiration obviously is one thing that I'm really passionate about. I want to inspire people to live their best life. So that's me, that's my value, that's my purpose. And so I would encourage them to do the same, like dig deeper into what that true fulfillment looks like.
Yeah.
And know that, my course that I have is success without regret, and know that it's okay to build success without regret.
Yeah.
And what better form of success is there than no regrets in the end?
Absolutely. All right, we got one more question here for you, and so we'll have you write one of these as well too. But this is a question from the last guest, and I haven't seen it yet, and it could be anything, especially knowing the last guest. What book that is absolutely unrelated to your career, but critical to the person you are today, or that you reference all the time? You've got a lot of books.
I know there's so many. I just I love all books, but I think the ones that were like the easiest, the quickest, resonated the most were the Benjamin Hardy books of which I mean kind of plays into my job, but the Who Not How and the 10x is easier than 2x and the Be Your Future Self Now. And in Be Your Future Self Now is where he talked a lot about like that power of forgiveness and letting go of resentment and looking at your past as what it did to you instead of what it did for you.
Yeah.
Or wait, said that backwards.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. Anyway, you know what I mean,
happens
right?
For you versus to you.
Yeah, for sure. And so all of those things all are very important. And but that is like, if I could wish anything for anyone is to be able to don't let the past hold you captive from what the future holds. And by not looking, we talk about the success thing, the last question, right, is by not letting go of that past, that's the only thing that is holding you back from that success that we talk about and that future that you want, because something from your past is telling you that you can't do that. Yeah. And so once you let yourself free of all of that, like you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.